Okay, so good morning, class. So I hope all of you are doing good. Apparently, none of you is able to log in the Zoom, but nevertheless, we shall still continue on our discussion. Let me remind everyone that the upcoming research proposal defense will be already starting this Monday. And I do hope to see the actual papers from the class. We'll have the consultation starting tomorrow. If you're around, I'd like to be able to see it. But in preparation for your actual um, presentation, I will have to ask you to create a video presentation of your actual research proposal. But uh, before I discuss the essential components again of chapters 1, 2, and 3, I uh, will be able to share with all of you. Let me just share my slide. Okay, okay, share. Yeah, share. Okay. Um, hmm. okay, so I will have to share. Um, okay, so I'd like to share with everyone the proposal defense video presentation, which you need to be able to do and submit in the Google Drive that I will be creating. So this is the proposal defense video presentation. So first is the video overview. So you have to create a 10-minute or 10-minute recorded video that presents the outline of your research proposals, particularly chapters 1, 2, and 3. Again, in chapter 1, you will have your actual introduction. In the introduction, I have to be able to see the context, content, contrast, the aims, and the approach, then followed by your statement of the problem. Again, in the first sentence of your statement of the problem, I'll have to be able to see the actual um, okay, in the actual hold on. Okay, so In the introduction in chapter 1, I will have to be able to see um, again the context, the content, content, contrast, and the aims and the actual approach. Now, again, as previously explained in our class, when you do your introduction, the context, the content, and the contrast, they must have citations. So when you talk about the context, it's a initial um, information about your research, which is very interesting, that would steer or that would make your readers interested to read your actual study. The second part is the contrast. Again, this is also with citation, like the context. You need to be able to really look deeper in terms of the pertinent information that your readers need to be able to know and identify of your actual research. So you must malalim. So that's with citation. The third part will be the contrast. The contrast part need to have uh, this is really a very unique information or what the other authors are saying about your research. It normally starts with the word however, and then you have the aims of your research. You usually would state it as the aims of the study. The aims of the study. Uh, the aims of uh, the aims of the study is two. Okay, number one, two, and three, and then the last part would be the approach. So uh, the study will make use of example, a qualitative case study. And the next sentence is that you will have to look for a citation that will tell your reader of what this qualitative case study is all about. So you state it as according to example, in 2018, a case study is ganito ganyan. Okay? So that's your introduction. Then followed by your statement of the problem. In your statement of the problem, in the first sentence, you would need to be able to articulate it as the problem of the study will be answered by the following. No, I'm sorry. The problem of the study is, so you will have to tell directly to your reader or to the ones who's going to be able to read your study, what is the problem of the study? Example, your research has something to do with the lived experiences of male kindergarten teachers in selected schools in Quezon City. So the problem of study will be the limited information on uh, male kindergarten teachers in selected city in Quezon City. And the second sentence of the statement of the problem, you will have to look for a citation that will tell your reader that there's indeed such issue. Example, according to the Department of Education, there are roughly there are few male kindergarten students, especially in the National Capital Region. Then the third sentence in the statement of the problem would be the purpose statement. So you state it as the purpose of this qualitative, kung qualitative man, case study is to, tatlo uli yun. Number one, number two, and number three. So you state it as that way. And then the fourth sentence would be the research question. So how do you state that? The problem of the study will be answered by the following research questions, 1, 2, and 3. Again, in the research questions, it must be how or what. Okay, how or what. Again, you are doing a qualitative research. You're not doing a quantitative research, which is to measure variables. You don't measure variables in a qualitative research, but you try to explain, okay, the so-called concepts or the categories in your study. And then when you're done with the statement of the problem, then you can proceed with the background of the study. Now, um, okay, so we go back to the background of the study. So here are some important tips in writing your background of the study. The background of the study is a very important component of your research because this sets the stage later on for your research problem. I think I would have to tell you that after the introduction, your background of the study will follow, and from the background of the study will be your statement of the problem. Okay, I'm not so sure kung ang nasabi ko sa inyo is right after the SOP. It should be before the statement of the problem because this sets the stage for your research problem. So you will be able to provide the reader with the context they need to understand why your study is important and the gap that would exist in the literature and how your research fits into a bigger picture. And that's why you need to be able to present your background. So in writing your background of the study, you have to introduce, of course, your research topic again. You have to briefly explain what your research is all about, and you have to establish again the context of it, discuss the current state of knowledge or situations, particularly on your topic. This is with citation. You can mention, let's say, trends or policies, right? And then the third one is you will have to identify the gap or the problem. So you can point out limitations or issues in previous research or the current practice. Okay? So that's what you need to be able to do. Now, I think I made mention also before of uh, important research gaps that you need to be able to identify while doing your research. Now, again, the research gap, these are information that is missing or incomplete or outdated in your actual study. There are different types of research gaps. Meron what we call first the evidence gap. Not enough data or studies on a specific topic, or few studies, for example, on a specific study. Now, another one could be a knowledge gap. So the lack of understanding or clarity about a certain phenomenon. It can also be methodological gap. There's a methods. No? Let's say there are existing studies use limited or outdated methods, or you can simply say that there are more of quantitative study compared to a qualitative study. So you also have a population gap. So studies have not included certain groups, or kunyari napansin niyo puro females or males lang yung study. That could be a population gap. There is also a gap called the theoretical gap. Let's say that there is no theoretical framework or explanation of a phenomena, pwede rin yun. And the last one is what we call a practical gap. There might be a mismatch between research and the real world application. So may research nga pero wala namang or walang real world application. So again, there are different types of research gaps. It could be an evidence gap. It could be a knowledge gap. It could be a methodological gap. It could be a population gap. It could be a theoretical gap. And it could be a practical gap. Okay? So please be able to be reminded of, again, those types of research gaps. So now, I think the very important question is how to write the background of the study. I think I made mention before that you need to be able to look for 3 to 4 citations of the latest development issues or anything that would help the reader be able to understand your research. Now, you would normally can start with a very broad introduction in your background of the study. So you can state there, let's say, either the subject area or the importance of what you will be doing. Okay? And then later on, magsasegue kayo on providing context and existing knowledge based on a citation. So what have the previous studies found? Ano yung nakita ng mga studies about your actual study? Ano ba yan? Policies ba? Their existing laws ba yan? Or their system programs? Ganyan. And use the data or brief references to be able to support what you are looking for in your study. The third is you can identify later on the gap. Okay? State what is missing or not working or under research. So you can be able to set the issues or challenges that has not been fully addressed. You can do citations, no? And what are even the limitations of the current knowledge or practice of your study. And later on, you can be able to put in your background a brief uh, contribution of your study and who will be able to benefit from it. Okay? So you can, towards the end, you can mention briefly your research aim. So normally, yeah, mga 3 to 5 paragraphs in the background of your study. Okay, so that's chapter 1. Now you proceed to chapter 2 naman, that's the review of related literature. Now in your review of related literature, you have to start your review of related literature of chapter 2 with a brief introduction. My tip to you is that you have to go to the library and check the actual sample thesis outputs of the former grade 11 students and be able to see how they write their review of related literature, including their chapters 1 and chapter 3. So mayroong 1 or 2 sentences in the introduction of your review of related literature. And then before you would actually do your review of related literature, you need to be able to do your RRL answer grid. Remember, all the 20 journal articles or more, you have to be able to put that in your answer grid. So pag natapos na yung answer grid, that's the time that you'll be able to translate that or convert that into the paragraph form using what we call um, uh, thematic. Okay, the thematic way of writing your review of related literature. Now, when you talk about thematic way, it means that you have to organize your discussions by themes or topics instead of just listing the sources one by one or summarizing them chronologically. So this method of thematic way allows you to be able to synthesize the ideas from the multiple studies and show how they relate to your actual research. Okay, so again, in a thematic review or way, uh, um, normally you discuss related studies, other common themes, or conceptual, yung categories, naka-categorize sila. This way, you will highlight the patterns, the debates, the gaps, or connection amongst the sources. So like I told you before, you can put all together what the similar authors are saying about your topic. You can have a standalone explanation, okay, of a single author, which you think is very important. So in writing your thematic review of related literature for chapter 2, of course, you have to gather and read all your sources, check your RL answer grid. Then later on, you have to identify common themes. Okay? Pero wag niyo lalagay doon sa RL niyo, kunyari, theme 1, ano ba yung theme 2? No, you don't put theme 1, 2, 3, and 4. So lalagay niyo lang yung theme. For example, legal foundations and policy overview. Okay? For example, ang inyong study is about the no permit and no exam policy, understanding the no permit and no exam policy. So on your literature, you'll be able to see, for example, themes based on your journal articles. Kunyari, legal foundation and policies. You have second, awareness and understanding, implementation challenges, socioeconomic impacts. So each of the themes, dun yung ilalagay yung paragraph explanations, of course, with the citations coming from your literature. And then you will now have to organize the literature by themes. Okay? Kunyari, Sarosa 2024 said this or said that. Kunyari, Dakanay, open parenthesis, 2023, close parenthesis, said that, ganun. Okay? Or kaya naman, you can also say, let's say, there are several studies which highlights ganito, ganyan. You don't just analyze, but you analyze, but you don't just summarize when you do your review of related literature. You have to synthesize the information. Don't just describe what each study says, but you have to compare them. Compare them, tapos you have to do the contrast and connect them to your study. Now, you may be able to ask later on, how do these studies relate to your research questions? Or what gaps do they reveal? Or what contradictions or debates exist? Now, later on, you will have to link each theme to your research. Okay? So again, may mga themes yan, explanation paragraph form. Okay? Depende yan kung ilang paragraphs yon for each of the theme. Okay? Kung ilan yung makukuha mo sa literature. But of course, the final tip in doing your review of related literature is to use the proper citation in APA style. You have to be objective and present multiple perspectives in your review of related literature, not just those that support your study. So keep a paragraph focused on your ideas, okay, and not the authors, and with a clear synthesis. So pagka nailagay nyo na lahat yung themes yon, you will have to be able to end your RRL with a synthesis. Now, what do we mean now by a research synthesis, and how do you do it? Yun yung tanong doon. Normally, a synthesis would be 1 or 2 pages. But your review of related literature, mga 8 or more pages yan, double space. So if, let's say, the panel, or if I see like you only have 2 or 3 pages, then you will be questioned later on, why is it that you only have 2 or 3 pages? It means that you have not exhausted all efforts to secure your literature. Now, a research synthesis towards the end is the process of integrating and comparing and analyzing the findings from the various studies that you have compiled. So you have to identify yung mga patterns and trends. You can highlight the agreements or the contradiction. You have to show what is already known. You can reveal the gaps in the literature. Yung sinabi ko sa kaninyang mga gaps, population gap, methodological gap, knowledge gap, okay, and the others. Now you justify the need for your research. Now in the synthesis, again, kailangan yung review of related literature mo. That's why you have to collect and review all your sources. You have to read them again, and you have to identify the themes or the categories. You have to compare and contrast your studies and integrate all the information. And towards the end, you have to identify the gaps in the literature and connect the synthesis to your research. Siguro yung last paragraph would be, what is the connect the synthesis to your actual research, or use your synthesis to explain how your research will address the identified gap or contribute to the field of your study. Okay, so final tips in the RRL paragraph form and synthesis is that avoid listing studies one by one. Okay, but you have to be able to group them and discuss them by idea or theme. Ano-ano yung mga sinabi ng mga similar authors altogether. You have to use transition words. Kunyari, similarly, however, in contrast, and others, to connect the ideas. And always cite properly using the required citation style. So you will end your synthesis with a clear summary of what is already known, ano yung meron na, ano yung missing, ano yung kulang, and what you intend to study. I think yun yung importante sa synthesis na titignan dyan. A clear summary of what is known. Okay? Ano yung kulang, what is missing, and what you intend to study. Now, after the RL paragraph form, synthesis, you have to be able to create, of course, your theoretical so you have to be able to do first your theoretical framework. Ang theoretical framework are theories of your study, kung may theories. So you will have to be able to state them, describe them, each of the theories with citation, and another paragraph to explain the connection of the theories to your study. Pwedeng may illustration yan. Kunyari, tatlong boxes, tatlong theories na ko-connecta doon sa box. Another box, which is your actual study, and you'll be able to put figure 1, tapos kung ano yun, theoretical framework for, let's say, lived experiences of male kindergarten teachers. Okay? And then, let's talk about muna the theoretical framework. Or normally this is called the think theory based. Okay, think theory based, or also known as the theoretical framework. In a very simple terms, this is the use of existing theories to guide your research. So it explains why and how your research problem exists based on the established ideas from scholars or experts. Again, it explains why and how of your research problem exists based on established ideas from scholars or experts. So you can think of it as what existing theory explains or supports your topic. Okay, what existing theory explains or supports your topic. Example, if you're studying how students are motivated to study despite the challenges, you might use, for example, yung Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or let's say a self-determination theory to explain this kind of behavior. So yan yung theoretical framework. The second that you need to needs to be seen in your chapter 2 is the conceptual framework. Okay, your idea map. This is your idea map. The other one was talking about the theory-based. Ito naman yung your idea map. So a conceptual framework is a visual explanation of how the different categories, okay, or concepts, as we should say in qualitative research, relate to each other. So it is usually based on your own understanding and the review of related literature. And normally this would be based on the type of research design that you will be doing. For example, in a case study, normally yan, IPO ang gagamitin nyo, the input, the process, and the output. Now, for the phenomenological and the ethnography, normally you'll be doing a conceptual paradigm. Ibig sabihin yung conceptual paradigm, may figure ka, tapos may arrows ka. The arrows would usually be the research questions, pero hindi yung research questions lalagay nyo, kundi mga phrases or ideas of your actual research question, which would eventually be your output. So again, tingnan ninyo yung mga sample conceptual frameworks that was created in the thesis that was approved before. And so again, a conceptual framework, this is based on your own understanding and of the review of related literature. So think of it as how do I think the parts of my study connect and work together? Okay, so how do I think the parts of my study connect and work together? Now, example, if your study is about the implementation of, let's say, a no permit, no exam policy, your conceptual framework might include, there could be policy awareness, influences school compliance, or there could be financial status of the students, okay, or school compliance, affects student access to examination, and this is usually shown in a diagram or flowchart. Okay, so again, the difference between a theoretical and conceptual framework. In theoretical framework, again, existing theories yan. In a conceptual framework, researchers' own concepts based on the literature. So the purpose of your theoretical framework explains why the problem exists, and it's the foundation. In conceptual framework shows how your categories, okay, are connected in your study. And the source of your theoretical framework would be from the scholars, the academic theories. And your conceptual framework would be your understanding plus the review of related literature. Okay. So hopefully, makikita yan later on in your chapter 2. Now, we now proceed with chapter 3 of your qualitative Okay, chapter 3 of your qualitative research. Ito, medyo madali lang yung chapter 3 because you will just have to describe your methodology. So, first is your research design. So, what approach or the type of qualitative research are you using? Okay? So, kunyari, if you're using a case, i-articulate nyo muna that you're using a qualitative research, tapos with citation, and then proceed immediately with the specific qualitative research design. Kung qualitative ka, phenomenological, ethnography, grounded theory, and then you have to explain why you choose that design, and you need to be able to cite references. Okay? Now, next would be the research local. Where did the study take place? So you have to describe the location, the environment of your research. Mention also why the setting is relevant to your study. Kunyari, the research will be conducted in a private school in Quezon City, where the no permit and no exam policy, for example, is currently being implemented. Next, you will have to present your participants or your respondents. Who participated in your study and how did you select them? So describe the criteria for selecting the participants. Okay? Ano ba yan? Senior high school students ba yan? Junior high school students? And later on, you have to explain your sampling method. In our case, qualitative, you'll be doing a purposive sampling. Tapos you just have to cite a reference explaining what a purposive sampling technique is all about. Okay? For example, the participants included 10 senior high school students and 2 school administrators selected through purposive sampling. A purposive sampling technique according to, that's a citation. And then next we have the data collection method. In the data collection method, normally I would require students to come up with 2 columns. The first column is the research questions. So again, you do research question, first column. The second column would be data collection method. Research question number 1, how are you going to be able to collect data from your research question number 1? Kunyari, open-ended questionnaire. So ilagay mo doon, open-ended questionnaire. Number 2, open-ended questionnaire. And number 3, open-ended questionnaire. And then doon sa table mo, below your table, lagyan mo yun ng table 1, data collection method for kung ano mang yung study mo. Then below your table, you have to be able to explain in paragraph how you did your data collection method, specifically what an open-ended questionnaire is all about kasi yun yung gagamitin. Okay? And then next, you will have your data gathering procedure. So the data gathering procedure would explain in paragraph form how you will be able to gather your data. Kunyari, you will have to seek approval coming from your research advisor, blah, blah, blah. And then you will have your data analysis. Okay? After data gathering procedure would be the data analysis. How did you make sense of the data? You have to describe how you analyze the data that you have collected. And the commonly qualitative analysis method would be thematic analysis or content analysis. But mostly thematic analysis. Yeah. You'll have to explain what a thematic analysis is with citation. Okay. And then the last part of chapter 3 is the ethical considerations. How did you protect your participants? Normally, this is in paragraph form. Mga two to four paragraphs. Okay? You will have to mention the informed consent, voluntary participation, confidentiality and anonymity, right to withdraw at any time, and clearance given to you by the actual participants. For example, participants were informed of the study's purpose and their rights. Written consent was obtained, and pseudonyms were used to ensure confidentiality. Okay. Yung iba naman, I think yun lang muna in terms of your chapter 3. So I think I've given you an overview of what should be included in your chapters 1, 2, and 3. Now, in the creation of your proposal defense video presentation, outline lang ang makikita dun sa slide. But of course, you need to have your complete research kasi ang isasabi nyo by next week is your slide presentation, PowerPoint, your video presentation, your actual research proposal. Okay? And yung defense nyo na magdodraw lots tayo kung sino yung mauuna. So the video should be uploaded to the designated Google Drive link, which will be provided for submission. Para rin para mabigay ko rin sa mga panel yung mga video proposal defense videos sa mga panel so that they'll be able to render their feedbacks and comments, because we do not have the time anymore because of the cancellation of classes. You will have to be able to do this one. And then the video structure, ito yung introduction, the background, statement of problem, the aims, okay? Later on, kasama na itong aims na to doon sa introduction, significance, the research questions, okay? SOP yan. Okay, so in chapter 1, again, the introduction, the background, your SOP. Then chapter 2, the RRL, the actual RRL, synthesis, theoretical, and the conceptual framework. And then the research methodology. Okay, ano yung research design, sampling, data collection methods, your data gathering procedure. I forgot to put the data gathering procedure and the data analysis and the ethical consideration. And then your last slide would be include all references used in the APA style. So you have to be clear and concise, maintain the structure, visual aids, practice timing within the 10 minutes, and engage your audience. Siguro, tignan niyo yung gawa ng video, okay, and recording and submission, the quality, the format, and you will be graded accordingly by your content, your clarity, and your engagement delivery, and the visuals that you will be using. Okay. So I'll be sharing these guidelines to your to the FB group messenger for your reference. Sige, can you switch all your cameras so we can take all a photo together for the attendance? Okay, sige. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So, pakiayos niyo yung research niyo. Tomorrow, I will be present to be able to check your papers. Okay? Sige. Thank you very much.